Okay, so good morning, everyone. Welcome to our class for today for Practical Research 1. Our topic for today will focus on describing what the two major types of research, which are the qualitative and the quantitative research. So we will start first by, again, reviewing what research is, and then trying to find out what qualitative research is and quantitative research. So this would be very theoretical because you need to be able to understand the very basics of what the two major types of research is all about. So it's all about qualitative and quantitative research. Again, there are different types of research that we can do, and this will be based on the following, primarily on the purpose, the process, and the outcome. This is said to be the PPO of research, the purpose, the process, and outcome. So let's talk about each of these types of research. So when we talk about purpose, it would have other subcategories, primarily the purpose of research as to descriptive, analytical, exploratory, and there's a predictive research. So let's talk about this in details. When we talk about descriptive research, this will have to include um, fact-finding inquiries of different kinds, such as the what, the why, the when, the who, how, and all. In a descriptive research, this can also be both qualitative and quantitative. Now, how can the descriptive research become quantitative? Normally, in one area of your quantitative research, even if it's numbers, there's an area called the demographics. And in the demographics, you will have to be able to determine the age, uh, the gender, and others, which can also be part of the descriptive research. Now, the main aim of the research is description of the characteristics of a phenomena at present. So you have to describe it. It could either be using your five senses, and particularly in the qualitative research, and the research has no control over the variable. Now, we will be talking about later on what there are said to be uh, research terms that you will be familiar, especially in later on in the uh, quantitative research. So when we talk about variables in research, this is very important because um, variables are characteristics or what we call attributes that can change or vary among the subjects that you are going to be able to study. Now, they are very essential components of research because they will help you to measure, analyze, and draw conclusions about certain relationships and effects. And that's why when you see a variable that would particularly pertain to quantitative research, okay? Um, Again, when you see a variable that could either be, there are types of variables like there's an independent variable or the IV. You'll be able to encounter this later on in your quantitative research. This is the variable that the researcher manipulates or controls. And then you have another one called the dependent variable. This is the outcome or the effect that you are going to be able to measure. So this will be depends on your independent variable. Example, if you would want to conduct a study about, let's say, test scores of students in the senior high school, they are the so-called dependent variables. There are also other terms like there are controlled variables or what we call in research as constants. So they are kept constants to ensure that the results are due to the so-called independent variable. Meron rin tinatawag na extraneous variables. No, nalilito na kayo, but these are nice to know variables. These are other variables that could influence the dependent variable. Meron rin na tinatawag, there is a confounding variable. Sir, ang dami naman. But nice to know, that's why I'm sharing it to you. This is a type of extraneous variable that correlates both the independent and dependent variables. You also have So, ang dami naman. You also have the moderator variables. So, this would normally influence the strength or direction of the relationship between your independent and your dependent variable. And finally, you also have a mediator variables. This would explain the how or the why an independent variable influences over the dependent variable. Now, ang tanong, why are variables or why variables matter in research? So yan yung tanong, sir, why do we need to understand variables for research? So understanding and properly managing your variables uh, will help ensure, number one, ang sabi nila, yung validity. So the research would accurately reflect what it intends to measure. So again, yung variable importante because number one, for validity. So the research would accurately reflects what it intends to measure. The second, uh, why variables matter in research is for reliability. Okay, reliability. So it means the results are consistent. Okay, again, the results are consistent across time or the samples that you're going to give. And the third why variables matter in research is for causality. Causality, causality. Meaning properly identifying variables will allow you as a researcher to explore the cause and effect of the relationships that you are going to study. So yun, those are important terms, the variables that could either be again, variables are characteristics or attributes that can change or vary among the subjects that you're going to be able to study. And it has two types, primarily of the dependent and independent variables. But there can be other types, which I mentioned, the control, the extraneous, we have the confounding, the moderator, and we also have the mediator variables. Okay, so descriptive pa lang yan. Then we move on to the analytical research. So this research mainly carries out analysis on a phenomena which includes a secondary data. So the primarily aim of this research is to understand the phenomena by discovering and measure causal relationships among them. So here, you as a researcher use the facts or information that is readily available in order to analyze or to make a critical evaluation of a context. So it work within constraints variable. So you are going to be able to explain existing, for example, state of affairs from an available data, and how, for example, can absentee rate among, for example, employees in an organization be reduced. So it's an example of an analytical research. So it's more of a quantitative research. And then we have another research called the exploratory research. Now, an exploratory research is conducted about a research problem when there are few or no earlier studies to refer to. So the focus here is to gain insights and familiarity for later investigation or undertaking when the problem are in a preliminary stage of investigation. And here you're going to be able to gather preliminary information that will help to define a problem and suggest a what we call an important term is we call a hypothesis. Now, yeah, nakita nyo or you've heard the word hypothesis. So there's no hypothesis in qualitative research, but a hypothesis can be seen in a quantitative research. So when you say a hypothesis, this will be a clear statement or prediction about the relationship between two or more variables. So this would serve as a foundation for research by guiding your studies, focus, and methods. So there are characteristics of hypothesis, meaning it should be testable. Meaning, for example, the research questions that you're going to be able to create, you have to be able to test it. It should be supported or refuted through observation or experimentation. Now, it has to be specific. You have to define the variables and the expected relationship, and a hypothesis should be based on a prior knowledge or theory. So merong different types of hypothesis which are going to learn later on in the future for your quantitative research. You have a so-called null hypothesis. Nakalagay yun HO, H0. So it means that there is no relationship or difference between the variables, dependent or independent variables. So, for example, there is no difference in the test scores between students who receive tutoring and those who do not. Meron rin tinatawag na alternative hypothesis. So, H1 yun or HA. So, states that there is a relationship or difference between the variables that you have presented. There's also a directional hypothesis. So this time it would predict specific direction of relationship. And meron naman the non-directional hypothesis, predicts that there is a relationship but does not specify the direction. But normally, you'll be able to see the null hypothesis in a quantitative research. So that's a hypothesis. So much of the STEM classes, especially you, as STEM classes, will be doing an exploratory research later on in your quantitative research. Now we have a predictive research, so it studies determining the frequency with which something occurs in its association with something else. So for example, in a diagnostic research, the researcher must be able to define clearly what he wants to measure and must find adequate method of measuring for measuring along with the Clark-Cup definition of the population, the participants the researcher wants to study. Here, you're going to use statistical tools. In your research design, you might be using regression, the linear regression, or the logistic regression. So you'll find out those statistical tools soon in your quantitative research. So the major areas in which the predictive or diagnostic research design would include also in the business, marketing, clinical setting, government agency, and many others. Now, there's another type of research based on the process. And that's what we're going to focus today, the qualitative research and the quantitative research. So again, as a brief overview, a qualitative research, you will have to handle with the quality of a phenomena, okay? And the research designed to find out how people feel or what people often think are coming under this research. So it's not only feelings, but again, you have to make use of your other five senses. So it is important in the behavioral sciences, also now in the social sciences. So it aims to discover the underlying motives of, for example, human behavior through detailed description. So what would participant number one say? You have to write it down, transcribe it, and compare it later on with what your other participants would have to tell in terms of your research questions. Now, the data is in the form of words or pictures or objects and other artifacts. But normally, it would be words, especially if you're going to conduct an interview or an open-ended questionnaires to be given to your participants. Now, in a quantitative research, this research is based on the measurement of the quantity or amount, meaning it can only be expressed in terms of quantity, numbers. So researchers use tools such as questionnaire or equipment to collect data in all aspects of the study are carefully designated before data is collected. Now here, data is in the form again of numbers or statistics, and this data is more efficient and can be tested. That's why it is connected with hypothesis. Okay, we leave behind the two, but we're going to go back with it later on. And let's talk about the different types of research coming under the category of the outcome. there are actually two outcomes, primarily the applied or the action research. Normally in action research, it's research to answer, let's say, immediate concerns or issues, let's say in a school or in a classroom. The fundamental or the basic or the pure research, that's the research that you're going to be able to do. It's an example would be a thesis, which you're going to do, or a dissertation paper. So in applied research, it's defined as research which is used to answer a specific question or solve a specific problem or to gain a better understanding. So it's also known as the action research. Okay, so you try to solve on the immediate concerns of, for example, in a classroom or in a school or in a specific office or organization. So there's also the fundamental or the basic or the pure research. Now, this research is concerned with generalization and the formulation of theory. So this is done for the intellectual pleasure on learning, and it has no commercial value attached to the discoveries that result from the basic research. So now this type of research has limited direct applications, but in which researcher has control over the research setting. So it would have to involve the collection, the analysis of data, to develop or enhance the theory and have an understanding of the theories of the relationship between the variables. Now, there are other types of researchers or researches that can be done. There's a one-time research. It's called the longitudinal research. Some of you are, sir, dami namang researches. Ganun talaga no, in the field of research. So the field setting research, this would be laboratory research, simulation research, depending on the environment that would take into consideration for research. There's also a clinical research, a case study method that have an in-depth approach in order to study the causal relationships. There's also historical research. So in research, the researcher utilizes historical sources like the documents, the events, and all in order to understand the past and the point of time and all. And you have also the conceptual research. Now, this research is completely based on abstract ideas or theories. And then, of course, we have the empirical research. This is completely based on experiences or the observations, which we are or you are going to be able to do. So keep in mind that when we talk about, again, going back to the important types of research, quali and the quanti. In a quali, the research generally ideals in words, images, and is subjective. While in a quantitative research, numbers, logic, and objective. So when you talk about the types of data, there are actually two. Again, the qualitative and the quantitative. Qualitative description, for example, it was a great fun. Quantitative, you talk about discrete numbers or continuous numbers. Okay? So qualitative data, you get to see here words, okay? Like you see here, hold on class for a minute. Huh? Okay, sorry for the disruption. I'm back again. Okay, let's go back now. So there are, again, qualitative and the quantitative data. So there are two. So you have words, and the other one you have numbers. Okay, so I think that's very easy, no? Words at saka the numbers. So even in the titles itself, you will be able to later on check, no? Kung talagang qualitative or quantitative yan. So we'll be able to do that later on. Hopefully, you'll be able to be well versed with that. Then we continue. The classification of research design. I'm going to show you uh, this parang organizational parang chart, no? So you have the quantitative design and the qualitative design. In the quantitative design, it could either be experimental or non-experimental. Yung non-experimental, the one that I was describing earlier, this would normally be descriptive. So you could do a survey or relational, the expo facto studies, comparative, evaluative, and methodological. Okay, and then when you do experimental, there's true experimental, there's quasi-experimental, and the pre-experimental. Okay, so in a true experimental, you will be doing a pre-test and a post-test, and there's a control design. The post-test only control the group design, and there's a quasi-experimental, the non-equivalent control group design, and the time series design, and the pre-experimental. All of this one you will be hopefully be able to understand later on. But in the meantime, we will focus on the qualitative design. You have the phenomenological, the ethnographic study, the grounded theory. I missed to put here the case study and the ones that is not usually being done here. There is also a narrative, okay, a narrative research here. Okay, so now going back, quali and quanti. So in a quanti hypothesis, I think we checked on we have talked about that. That's check. The null, for example, hypothesis, all beans are alike. In a null, no beans are different. The method, okay, count the beans. So we have the qualitative. What is a bean and what does it mean to be a bean? The method, examine the beanness in the field. Yung beanness na yan, you will have to be able to uncover it, no? On why it is called the beanness. Now, let's distinguish some of the characteristics of a quantitative and a qualitative research. By the way, so far, I'd like to see a thumbs up if so far so good. Sige nga, I'd like to see thumbs up. Are you still all good? Yan, okay. Sige. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask this to no, because these are very theoretical and important backgrounds of understanding what research is all about. Okay, sige, let me continue. So again, we have here the qualitative and the quantitative data. So there would be descriptions. Data can be measured but not measured. Color, texture, smells, the taste, the appearance. Okay. The qualitative, you talk about the quality. Now, in the quantitative data, deals with numbers, data which can be measured. You talk about the length, the height, the area, the volume, the weight, okay? The temperature, humidity, and the others. The quantitative, okay? The quantity, okay? The quantity. So you see now the difference. Now, in terms of purpose, quantitative, you need to explain and predict or to test or to confirm invalid or validate the theory. In a qualitative, you have to describe and explain and explore and interpret and to build a theory. Okay? And in the research process, so you have the quantitative and the qualitative. So in the quantitative, you have the focus. You have to deal with the known variables, use established guidelines, static designs would include context-free objective, the qualitative. It's a holistic approach, unknown variables, flexible guidelines, emergent design, context-bound, and subjective. Now, there are forms of reasoning between the two. In a quantitative, you use deductive analysis, meaning you do it from the general case theory to a specific situation. While in terms of the qualitative, this is inductive analysis. Again, when you do the inductive analysis, it would have to refer from the specific situation to what we call to the general case. Now, let's discuss further let's talk about it in details what this inductive analysis is all about, kasi you're going to be able to use this one in your qualitative research. So again, this is one of the approaches in terms of reasoning for a qualitative research wherein you use the patterns, themes, and the categories that will emerge from the data without a preset theory or framework. So wala kang pinanggagalingan. You're not getting a theory or a framework when you do an inductive analysis. So you try to check or get the patterns again, the themes and the categories. So instead of starting with a hypothesis, like in a quantitative research, you as a researcher will have to begin with observations and later on develop broader generalizations or theories based on the data that you will be collecting. So in short, again, as stated in the slide, it moves from specific situation to the general case. So the goal is to let the data speak for itself. That's why I'm telling you later on, when you do your research, you're not crazy because the data will tell you something. No? After reading, siguro mga thrice or more, the descriptions of your participants, they're going to actually tell you na, hoy or hey, we're actually saying the same. These are the words that would appear or emerge that you have to be able to put them all together. So again, in an inductive analysis, you will use interviews, focus group discussions, and even open-ended surveys. So again, examples in inductive analysis, you will be doing later on thematic analysis in your interviews. So as a researcher, you will have to conduct interviews with people about their experiences, okay? And you'll be using this approach, and you as a research will have to read through the transcript. So babasahin yun, okay? And you will have to check on the code or the recurring ideas. And later on the outcome, the themes are generated from the data. And you would be able to take notice of that inductive element. Again, there's no prior theory that is being imposed. Walang ganun. Only the patterns that will emerge directly from your participants. So I think okay na to. The description of findings, no? We talked about that already. Now, other information, eto, ganun rin yun. In quantitative, you have to look for the numbers, okay? Qualitative gathers information. That's not talking about numbers. Descriptive. Okay. So you have quantitative research and the qualitative research. Okay, so examples would on the quantitative research, application forms, the close-ended questionnaires, IQ tests, the measurements, and then you have the qualitative research examples, which would be the diary accounts, document review, open-ended questionnaire, unstructured interviews, and even unstructured observations. And then I think we talked about the purpose already. Okay, quali to understand, interpret social interactions. The quanti, you have to test the hypothesis, look at the cause and effect, and make predictions. So in a qualitative, smaller and not randomly selected, but purposively selected. Quanti, larger and randomly selected. Okay. Creswell made mention of only limited number of participants read for a qualitative research. So we're safe there that you can have 1, 5, 1 up to as many as to 20 or 15. And then, okay, when you talk about variables in a qualitative, the study of the whole, okay? You don't talk about variables, but you talk about categories. Ayun, I fail to, uh, I fail to uh, give you that, no? Now, again, sa qualitative research is not about the variables, okay? It will be about the categories, okay? The categories are the groups or the related data or codes. And this would represent later on the broader idea or ideas or patterns emerging from the data. Again, categories ang hahanapin mo sa qualitative at hindi variables. Okay, there is no dependent and independent variable in qualitative research. So, ito, ganun rin yun. It's just the same, no? Words, the numbers, okay? In qualitative data, again, open-ended, responses, interviews, participant observation, the field notes, reflections, okay? I think I have not asked you to go out yet and do your five senses activity, okay? But we'll be able to ask you to do that when we have our class face-to-face, okay? Hopefully, you'll be able to do the reflections or the field notes or the observations. Okay, now the role of the researcher in the qualitative research, researchers and their biases may be known to participants in the study, and the participant characteristics may be known to the researcher. But of course, know the biases because during your panel defense, uh, the panel will ask you, so um, how did you take away, no? How to get rid. So how to uh, get rid of your biases in a qualitative research. Eh, tatanungin niya, for example, you're doing a research about, let's say, if you're a varsity player and then you're doing the lived experience of varsity players in terms of their academic experiences. Tatanungin ka, are you a varsity player? And if you say yes, patay. So there would already be biases. Okay? So sabi nila, how do we reduce? Hindi naman matanggal because there would always be biases or manage biases in a qualitative research. I think we'll end with that part though. How to reduce, manage biases in a qualitative research. Number one, sabi nila, you have to practice reflexivity. Let me type that out. Okay. Number one, practice reflexivity. Okay. So what does it mean? Or what it means? So you have to be self-aware and critically reflect on your own beliefs, the values, your experiences, and how they might affect the research. So how do you do this one? You have to keep, sabi nila, the traditional way of doing this, a reflective journal to record your thoughts, your assumptions, and decisions during the study. Example, you realize or you believe that online learning is less effective. Sa pananaw mo yun. Okay? Now, I need to be cautious not to interpret negative comments and more strongly than the positive ones. Sometimes, you might be the only one saying that online learning is not good and that others are not doing it anymore. Okay? But if you see a bigger picture of the pie, baka ikaw lang or a certain percentage. But if you see the totality of online learning, okay, it benefits. Okay? It benefits everyone. Okay? Sige, tanungin ko nga dito. Do you think online learning benefits you? Sige nga, give me a thumbs up. Does online learning benefit you? Nakakatulong ba ang online learning sa inyo? So I'd like to see a thumbs up. Krister, why do you say na online learning is nakakatulong? Give me a short description. Krister? Krister. Sige, Krister, go ahead. Why do you say na online learning is nakakatulong for you? Or what can you say about online learning? Is it okay? Is it something new? Krister, andyan ka ba? Krister? What about the others? Sige, I'd like to hear Maya. Maya, are you around?
Yes po.
What can you say about online learning as a student? I know
Nakakatulong.
we're trying to do like parang a reflexive journal Parang kunyari nagre-record tayo. O sige, sige. What can you say?
Kahit po nasa bahay, nakakatulong po siya para po ah, magkaroon po kami ng kaalaman sa mga subject po sa school.
So even if you're at home, no, on the convenience at your home, you can still learn. Okay? You can still learn even if it's raining right now in St. Patrick's School, you can still learn. Okay? Oh, by the way, mamaya at around 2 o'clock p.m., we shall have your pile session with Dr. Mutmaina from Indonesia. Don't forget about the use of AI for students. Okay? So, yeah. Sige, thank you very much, Maya. I will move on um, to how to reduce or manage biases in the qualitative research. Okay? Number two, ang sabi nila, because of use triangulation. I think nabanggit, I'm not so sure if it, bakit kulang ng U? Use triangulation. Okay, we have to use triangulation. Now, meaning you have to use multiple data sources. Hindi lang with your review of related literature, you will have answers from your participants, you will have your artifacts, okay? You will have your interviews, your observations. Kaya hindi po pwedeng sasabihin na gawa-gawa lang yan. You know, you have sources. You made triangulation. So, this would be the researcher in triangulation having more than one to analyze, for example, your data. Okay? You will have to let your advisor, ako, and the panel be able to check your actual data. So the method of triangulation would have to combine the interviews, the focus group discussions, and the documents. And the last one, okay, I think we still have 5 minutes. No? Conduct member checking. Okay? Para to reduce, okay, or manage bias in qualitative research, we have to conduct member checking. Ano yan, sir? SNR? No, SNR may membership. Ganyan. No, it's not about membership, but what it means is that you will have to share your interpretations or findings with participants to verify accuracy. Kaya nga yung mga interviews or observations, you will have to, especially in the interviews and the open-ended questionnaires, ipapakita niyo yan with your participants and tell them that this is the actual answers that you have made. Okay? Para hindi basta gawa-gawa mo lang, no? It has been verified. So why do you need to do this one? This would help ensure that you're not misrepresenting their views based on your own assumptions. Hindi mo lang basta sinulat yun, no? This has been approved or validated from your participants. Okay? We have number 4, okay? Use peer debriefing. Okay? So what do we mean by peer debriefing? Now, what it means, you should have a colleague, okay? Or, syempre, yung colleague or your peer review or your classmate to be able to read or check your thesis advisor, your teacher, okay? To review your data, your codes and themes. Kasi baka mamaya kung ano-anong codes ang inilagay nyo, it's not naman connected to the actual extraction of your data or the information coming from your data. Meron rin, number 5, they say you can do an audit trail. So it means that the document your research steps in detail, how data was collected, coded, and interpreted. So this would have to provide transparency. Another one now is you can, of course, you will have to do this. Use open-ended questions. So you should avoid misleading questions in interviews or surveys. Let them. Okay, naturalistic dapat. Okay, let the participants speak for themselves without being, pushed or challenged or, bakit ganun? Hindi ba dapat ganito? No, you should not be able to do that. Okay? And finally, you can do your code with a team. Kung pwede naman. Okay? Having more than one person code your data and discuss the differences. So this would help balance the interpretations and avoid single researcher biases. So okay, I think that's it, no, for our class for research. Now let's can you kindly open your camera so we can take a photo all together. So next meeting, please bring a yellow pad paper, okay? We will be doing, I'll ask you to do the 5 senses activity as a head start of doing your qualitative research. Okay, sige, let's start. Okay, 1, 2, 3. One more. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you everyone. See you in class kailan ba tayo? Tomorrow. Okay? Okay, bye everyone. Thank you.